Are you ready if the next big fire hits your neighborhood? Probably not. It's a crazy world out there, and what you see on the news every day can easily keep you up all night. In this video, we'll take a look at the recent LA fires and go over a 5-step plan so that you survive the next one. I spent the last few weeks researching so that you don't have to. By the end of this video, you'll be better prepared than 99% of the people around you. And guess what? You don't need to build a bunker or spend a lot of money. This is Gray Man Prep, and I make videos about how to prepare for anything while still living a completely normal life. Let's jump into it. On January 7th, 2025, I was scrolling online when I saw videos of red smoky skies, burning buildings, and people running for their lives. I jumped off the couch and looked out the window. Luckily for me, it was nothing but clear blue skies. But I still wasn't sure if I was safe. Los Angeles is the second largest city in the United States. The LA fires, which started on January 7th, have so far claimed the lives of 28 people and forced over 200,000 people to evacuate. What would I do if I had to run? I don't even know what I would bring or where I would go. Would anyone jump into the flames and save me? And what about my friends and family? The LA fires have been devastating. Over 57,000 acres of land have been burnt. To give you an idea of how big that is, in New York City, that's almost the size of Manhattan and Brooklyn combined. So, how did this happen? Was it because of climate change? Could it be by politics? Well, let's start with the very basics. A fire can be started by either natural causes like lightning or by man-made ones like cigarettes and campfires. But in order for a fire to actually spread, it needs two things: fuel and oxygen. On January 7th, Los Angeles was actually set up to be the perfect firestorm. Let me explain. Two weather conditions came together to create an unstoppable fire. These are La Nina and the Santa Ana winds. Weather patterns can be very complex, but don't worry, I'll break it down for you and summarize what you need to know. And that brings us to our first step: understand the risks. Because if it can happen, it will happen. Water in the Pacific Ocean goes through cycles of cooler and warmer temperatures. When the water by the Pacific coast is warmer than usual, we call this El Niño. And when it's cooler than usual, we call this La Nina. The important thing to know is that La Nina causes droughts in the southern US. By the end of 2024, we were beginning to enter a new La Nina phase. And by the start of 2025, Southern California was already on the verge of drought. These drought conditions created the perfect fuel for a massive fire. But remember, we also need oxygen, and this is where the second weather condition comes in. The Santa Ana winds, also known as the devil winds, are extremely strong and dry winds that come from the inland deserts. These winds intensify as they travel down mountains and are funneled through valleys, becoming stronger and stronger. They can reach up to 100 miles per hour and can even knock over a semi-truck. The Santa Ana winds can turn a small fire into a massive inferno by feeding it with unlimited oxygen and by spreading the burning embers onto nearby shrubs and houses. These winds can last for days and occur dozens of times a year. Together, La Nina and the Santa Ana winds created the perfect conditions for LA to ignite. And for weeks, the city was ravaged by the flames. 1 in 6 Americans are at risk of wildfires, and that number is only going up. In fact, California has a history of wildfires, and people have known the risks for years.
I talked to a fireman once, and he was telling me, he goes, dude, one day, he goes, it's just going to be the right wind, and fire's going to start in the right place, and it's going to burn through LA all the way to the ocean, and there's not a fucking thing we can do about it.
So it's not enough just to know the risks. You need to be ready to act. So that brings us to step 2. Be self-reliant and have a plan, because no one is coming to save you. Some people might just wait to be rescued by the fire department, but they might not have the resources or even ability to save you.
Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor?
Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire. Which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
And to make matters worse, during the LA fires, fire hydrants ran out of water. We saw looters and even arsonists. So why hasn't the government fixed the problem? Well, the politicians are often too busy screwing around.
I would do whatever I can.
But you're not!
I think they're dead politically. What they've done, they've destroyed the city.
Do you know there's water dripping over there, Governor?
When you're a rich person and you like to take a shower.
So you need to be responsible for yourself. In the case of a wildfire, the best thing you can do is evacuate. But where will you go? You don't know how far the fire can spread, so come up with a list of multiple safe spots. This could include a community shelter or a friend's house further away. If you have pets, children, or an elderly parent who can't take care of themselves, make sure the plan covers all of your loved ones. The last thing you want to do is leave grandma behind. But having a plan is also not enough. There's a common saying that failing to plan is planning to fail. But as Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Or as I say, until your entire neighborhood burns down. If you have to evacuate, you can't leave the house empty-handed. So that means you need to have the right supplies to execute on your plan. And that brings us to step 3, gear up. If you're lucky, you'll be able to take your car, but there's a good chance you'll have to flee on foot, and you might only be able to bring what you can carry.
Where's your car? The cops say you have to leave and I leave my car right there.
Okay, let's get into the gear. Obviously, you'll need a backpack, and you need energy to run, so bring some food and water. The air quality will be horrible, so wear a face mask, N95 if possible, but even a simple cloth one will be much better than nothing. You have to stay connected, so take a power bank for your phone. Bring a flashlight and some extra batteries for when it gets dark out. It might be good to have a physical map and a pocket knife. In case you get hurt, bring a first aid kit, some burn cream, and any personal medication. You also don't want to be gross, so get some baby wets for hygiene and some travel-sized toiletries. Always have some cash on hand. And last but not least, bring a binder with important documents. It's even better if you have digital copies too on a flash drive. So make sure to take a picture of all of your favorite things and back up all of your photos. Actually, take pictures of all of your rooms and expensive belongings. Having these digital backups will make the next step so much easier. And let me know if I missed anything and what you would bring. Okay, so you understood the risks, made a plan, got the gear, and made it out alive. But now you have to pick up the pieces of the life you left behind.
What's left of your house?
Nothing.
And what's left of your life?
Everything.
And that brings us to step 4, recover and rebuild. Congratulations, you've survived. Now it's time to dust yourself off and see what's still standing. This can be the hardest part. The initial adrenaline rush of survival is over, but now it's time to deal with the grief and trauma. Your house might be gone, but you probably still owe taxes and a mortgage payment.
Do I still have to pay my mortgage if my house burns down? And I got bad news for you. Yes, you do.
And even if your house is still standing, you'll likely have tons of smoke damage. Smoke is bad enough, but when buildings burn down, they often release toxic chemicals like lead into the air. So get a good air purifier in your home. And it might be a good idea to keep wearing a face mask outside until the air clears up. Mental health is important too, so you might benefit from therapy or counseling. But if you're dealing with insurance, good luck. You might actually go crazy.
The last dollar will not be paid for at least another year and a half.
If you followed step 3 and kept good records, your process will go a lot faster than everyone else around you. But it's probably not much of a life if you're the only one left in your neighborhood.
Well, what's the house without a neighborhood? There's no neighbors, there's no friend.
So make sure to check up on your neighbors and connect with the communities that you're a part of. As human beings, we're able to overcome great challenges, but only if we do it together. So now you're back on your feet and a new normal is starting to set in. But your journey isn't over yet. Every person will have their own unique story and experiences. And if you listen, you might learn something new or find like-minded people to add to your network. And you might have survived, but likely not everything went according to the plan. So how can we improve? What can we do better for next time? And that brings us to step 5, evaluate and adapt. There's something to learn from every disaster. What made this one different from the others? You understood the risks, but go back to step 1 and understand them at a deeper level. Figure out why this house burned down and why that house didn't. There's a lot that you can do to make your house more fire resistant. One thing is to maintain a 5-foot fireproof perimeter around the house.
The house on the right, on the other hand, appears to be basically untouched, and it was the same type of fire. The difference was the defensible space.
And if you're rebuilding, some materials are better than others. For example, use concrete instead of wood and invest in a metal roof. For more resources, check out the links in the description. As you continue to live your life, your lifestyle will change and your family alongside it. So go back to steps 2 and 3 and make sure to keep your plan up to date in a way that reflects your current life. And be sure to keep your supplies fresh and ready to go when you need it again. Actually, there's still one more thing you need to know. But first, let's do a quick recap. In this video, we went through a 5-step plan to prepare you for the next big fire. We covered understanding the risk, making a plan, and gearing up. We then went over how to recover and rebuild once a disaster actually hits, and why it's important to continually evaluate and adapt. So now you're ready for the next big fire. But actually, you should know that the next big disaster will probably be something else. For example, after the LA fires, the houses that were left standing are now at risk of being swept away in mudslides because all the plants and and their roots were burned up.
And the worry here is real. Experts say land moves about 7 times faster on a burn scar.
So there's still a lot more you need to understand and prepare for. So let me know in the comments what topics I should cover next. By the way, YouTube thinks you'll like this video next.